Hello friends, this is Manoj Puprani. I welcome you all on behalf of the Edupedia world. So guys, are you enjoying your life to the fullest? I hope so. Absolutely, you will be. So it's a wonderful day outside. I'm sure that you guys are living your life to the fullest. You are enjoying your day, certainly. So with that kind of hope and belief, let's move to this presentation of ours in which I'll be discussing with you guys the remaining of the theories which will be involved in the concept for dividend decision making. So by now we have already covered two of our major theories. One was traditional position. Next one was Walter model. So Walter being one of the finest approaches for any of the dividend decision making principles. So I do hope that you guys are revising the topics time and again. So I'll be covering one of the major decision making theory, dividend related, in this particular presentation, and that will be the Gordon model. So Gordon growth model. What does Mr. Gordon has to say regarding any of the decision making related to dividend policy for a company? So let's move to that, and without wasting any of your time, so let's get start. Are you ready to take off? Perfect, guys. Fasten up your seatbelts. We are about to. So theories on dividend policies, traditional position, Graham and Dodd, that has already been covered in my last presentation. Walter approach has already been covered. Gordon growth model, I'm going to cover in this particular presentation with you guys. Modigliani-Miller hypothesis, so that will be covered most likely in my next presentation. Lindner model, radical approach, and finally dividend discount model. So remaining Modigliani-Miller, radical approach, Lindner model, and dividend discount model. So these will be remaining theories. I'll be covering all these in my forthcoming presentations. Stay tuned for that matter. And in this particular presentation, I'm going to provide you the basic and the entire information relating to Gordon growth model. So perfect, guys. Let's move to the topic of the day, and that will be Gordon growth model. So guys, this particular theory, this particular model was founded by Myron Gordon. So according to this particular Gordon growth model, the dividend policy of any of the company has a very deep impact on the share valuation as to what this particular theory has to say. So dividends are relevant. Gordon was a person who used to believe that investors are willing to pay a higher price for the shares that offer greater current dividends. And if a company delays or reduces the dividends, they need immediate clarification of the certainty. So shareholders are having that kind of a feeling wherein they are actually willing to pay more price for the companies which profitably provide you dividends on time and in higher amounts. And if in case a company is not willing to provide you for dividend, so the shareholders need clarification of that uncertainty or delay. So for taking this particular risk which arises out of uncertainty, they actually demand higher rate of return. Why? Obviously, you are not providing them any of the dividend on time and you are retaining their amount as retained earnings for the company. So obviously, they are bearing some certain kind of risk with that retained earnings. So they will actually demand higher rate of return. Higher rate of return for them will result into higher capitalization rate. That is the cost of capital for you. So that's what Gordon has to say in this particular front. So for any of the demand for any of the risk which they take out of that uncertainty, they demand higher rate of return. And hence they sell those shares with any of the bad announcement usually is made by the company that the price or return is not provided at on time. So certainly they are actually going to liquidate their shares in such way, and certainly they are going to sell out them. Higher the earnings retention rate, the greater is the required future return from investments to compensate for that risk. And the risk attitude which is available with the investors will ensure that the return on internal retention will rise for each successive year in the future to reflect that the growth is meeting out any of the uncertainty. And that's what this Gordon growth model has to offer you guys. So that is what the brief about this Gordon growth model will tell you. So I just shared with you a brief regarding that thing. Let's understand that in a much deeper manner. So this was formulated by Myron Gordon, who contends that dividends are relevant for the valuation of shares. Gordon argues that what is available at present is preferable to what may be available in future. As investors are rational, they want to avoid any kind of risk and uncertainty. Guys, have you heard about this very famous quote that it's always better to have one in hand rather than two in the bushes? Absolutely right. So that is the same kind of a philosophy which will be like applicable to the model which is being presented by Gordon. Myron Gordon is of the same belief. He says that a shareholder will be like happy to have something in his hand rather than like waiting for something which is unavailable or uncertain and will be like provided to them in future. So he has that kind of a feeling wherein he argues that what is available at present is always preferable to what may be available in future. And all the investors are rational and they are risk aversive. So obviously they don't want to take any of the risk or uncertainty. They usually avoid any of them. So that's what Gordon growth model has to say. This is the concept behind. If I have to like provide you something that how about a Gordon model is going to help you up in finding the valuation of any of the share price of the company. So that's how this is the particular concept behind it. And this will be like directly linked with discount model as well, dividend discount model. Both of them actually go hand in hand together. So a particular derivation of this model is going to simultaneously reflect what dividend discount model is also having to offer you up. So let's understand this concept first. E0 in this particular case will be the price of the share that will be shown in LHS side. That will be equal to Y into 1 minus B. What is Y? Y is basically the earnings per share. So whatever earning per share you'll be having with that company, that is going to be reflected over here. After the same, you'll have to multiply it with 1 minus B. 1 minus B, B basically means the retention ratio. In any of the company, there are two things. One, you earn something and out of it, you pay the dividend or you retain the rest of the amount. So B is going to take care of that retention ratio. If you earned rupees 1, after the same, you provided 20 paise as dividend and you retain 80 paise out of it. So the retention ratio will be 0.8 in that case. So that is going to be included in this particular concept. That will be whole divided by K minus BR. K is basically the capitalization rate, the kind of rate which is required by the shareholders. BR basically will be this, the growth rate. So we all are aware of one thing, that the growth of a company is going to happen only on the amount which is being retained by the company. I have rupees 5 in my hand and out of the same, if I pay you entire 5, will I am going to provide you any of the growth in the company in near future? Absolutely not. Why? Because I didn't retain any of your amounts in my hand. So how can I provide you some kind of growth in future? I won't be able to. Absolutely right. But if in case I have rupees 5 in my hand, out of the same, I provide you 2 and I kept 3 as my retained earnings with a well-known belief that yes, I am going to provide you something with it along in back in the future. So you'll have that kind of growth in that case. I would be earning something on that rupees 3 which I kept in as retained earnings. So that will be B into R. So B will be the retention ratio here and R will be the rate of return on the internal retention investment. So that is going to be the growth rate for me. So this is going to be like provide you a fair price per share of any of the company. So that's going to be the concept relating to it. So obviously guys, again, I'll have to like sum up this particular concept. So you earn something, that is the earning per share. After the same, you just multiply it with 1 minus B, that is the retention ratio. I can simply say that this will be exactly to the one which is would be equal to dividend. Retained earnings or like earning per share, that is Y, into 1 minus B, that is retention ratio. So what do you get after like multiplying the remaining one? You obviously get the dividend out of it. So out of this particular numerator, you'll be able to get D1 and you'll be dividing the same with K minus BR. What is BR? BR basically means growth. So I can simply say that that will be equal to KE minus G. Absolutely right guys. Perfect. Cool. So that will be equal to P0 will be equal to D1 divided by K minus C. Simple. And if you just apply your mind and brain to this, you'll get to know that this is exactly the same concept which is given by dividend discount model. Right. So in that sense, the Gordon growth model and dividend discount model actually goes on hand in hand on the same route. The only thing is, Gordon growth model is a bit like conceptualized to understand, whereas dividend discount model is very easy to compute and reconceptualize in the very same manner. So Gordon growth model is further going to get a shape which is being presented by dividend discount model itself. So that is how these two things are simultaneously equal to each other. So guys, this was Gordon growth model. I hope you got the complete clarity. If not, don't worry. I'm going to take care of your difficulty part as well. So I'll be sharing with you one example for it in order to make sure that you understand your concept very well. So alternate way which I just shared with you to reach to the same goal by applying Gordon growth model using the dividend discount model. This one was again formulated by Myron Gordon, which contends that the dividends are relevant for the valuation of shares. I just mentioned it to you. This was a concept which we just discussed in my last slide, and this is the one which is going to be reflected for dividend discount model. So in this case, if y into 1 minus b is being like recapitalized or represented in some certain form, and if I substitute these figures, I can simply say that this will be exactly similar to the one which is being presented in third point, that is d0 into 1 plus g. So herein you'll get to know that y into 1 minus b will be equal to the amount of dividend which is expected to be paid in future. So y means earnings. Out of the same, you retain something. So that is the retained earnings. If you minus that, in that case, you will get the one amount which you actually paid. So that will be the dividend per share. And dividend per share to the expected one, I can provide you or substitute the same in as d0 into 1 plus g. So that will provide you dividend which is expected to be paid in future. After that, I'll divide the same with Ke minus G. So G will be equal to B into R. That is the retention rate multiplied by the rate of return on internal retention that I'm going to get. So G can also be referred to in as BR. So again, where MV will be equal to the market price for the per share, that will be equal to P0. D0 will be the current year dividend. G will be the constant annual growth rate of dividends, and KE will be the cost of equity capital, that is the expected rate of return. So guys, I am sure that you got entire clarity as to how to go about while solving your question with Gordon growth model. Again, very eminent kind of personality who did provided and listed some of the papers for finance relating to the dividend policy. So guys, if you go about taking care of this thing, you'll get to know that the relationship between the market price and the payout ratio is exactly the same which has been compared in Walter model as well. So the crux, if I'll talk to you about the concept crux of Gordon's arguments, is basically in a twofold assumption. One, that the investors are risk aversive. They do not want to take or go for any of the risk. Second, they put a premium on a certain risk. That is, if they put in some kind of premium on a certain return and discount or penalize the uncertain returns. So therein I can simply say that if you provide them certainty with any of that dividend or some certain kind of income that they are actually going to get, definitely they are actually going to provide you some kind of premium on it. Okay, that you are providing them something in return of it, definitely they are going to purchase your share on premium. But if in case there is some certain uncertainty with respect to the returns, they are actually going to penalize you. They are actually going to discount your share price as well. So they'll have to take care of these things. One, their investors are risk aversive, and second, they put some kind of premium on certain returns and discount the ones which provide them uncertain returns. I can simply say that they are actually the rational kind of investors and they prefer the current dividend. So if a company which retains earnings is perceived as risky, then the future payment of the dividend amount and the timing is uncertain, then in that case they'll have to pay or provide the investors some kind of very good opportunity so as to ensure that the investors do rely on their fact, and thus they would discount the future dividends. That is, they would place some less importance on it as compared to the one which is available to them as current dividend. And that's how it's going to get done. So guys, that was Gordon growth model. Let's move to some of the assumptions of Gordon growth model. I had shared a few in my last presentation relating to Walter model with you guys. these are approximately like on the same lines as to Gordon growth model has to say, because of both these personalities have actually like provided you something relating to the concepts on the same lines. They both were equally in favor of dividends, and they both were equally in favor of optimum payout dividend policy. So the first assumption will be that a firm is an all equity firm. So there is absolutely no kind of debt, no bonds, no debentures, nothing. The firm is an all equity firm. Second, no external borrowings are used. Again, the same thing, no debts, nothing. Third, that the IRR of the firm is constant, the internal rate of return, on which you'll be reinvesting your investment, which you have actually kept as retained earnings. So the rate which you'll get from on investment of the same is going to be the very constant one. Fourth, the appropriate discount rate of the firm remains constant. So that means the K, that is the capitalization rate, or I should say the rate which is usually expected by the shareholders while they keep their resources of funds with you as a company. So what kind of rate you provide to them. So that appropriate discount rate for the firm remains constant. The firm has a perpetual life. The going concern assumption is definitely not going to hit in any case because the firm has a perpetual life. That's one of the major assumptions for it. Next, that the retention ratio is constant. So it's always and will remain the same retention ratio. And therefore, if the retention ratio is constant, accordingly, the growth rate is also constant. Why? Because that's exactly depending upon the retention ratio. And the last, that is the discount rate is greater than growth rate. That is KE greater than BR. Obviously, it's going to be the bigger one on that one. So these are the major 7 assumptions which have been like provided while using or going about taking care of the Gordon growth model while solving any of the question. So you'll have to keep in your mind these points, these 7 points as assumption to consider while opting for any of the solution for Gordon growth model. Guys, perfect. Let's move to the example for Gordon growth model. Ram Limited is planning for the next year to retain 80% of its earnings. Current earnings are expected to be rupees 6 per share. The company is expected to earn an ROE of 10%. If the capitalization rate is 11%, what is the price per share as per the Gordon constant growth discounting dividend model? Again, the same kind of ideology. Without going into the solution, let's understand this question first by our own. So, Ram Limited is planning for the next year to retain 80% of its earning. So, the retention ratio in this scale will be 0.8. Perfect. 80% is being retained. The current earnings are expected to be rupees 6. 6 is the amount of EPS, if I'll have to say. Out of it, the company is planning to retain 80%. So, 6 into 80% of the same. So, that will be 4.8 in that case. So, rupees 4.8 is going to be retained earning per share. And if 4.8 is being retained, I can simply say that the dividend payout per share will be rupees 1.2. Why? Because 6 minus 4.8 is 1.2. Perfect, guys. EPS is 6 and DPS is 1.2. The company is expected to earn a ROE of 10%. So RE, I just got that is 10%. Capitalization rate is 11%. So I just got RC, that is 11%. So what's the best kind of optimum policy for them? Are you like, there guys? Perfect. So you can simply say, if in case I'm getting an ROE of 10% and the capitalization rate is 11%, it's always better to provide dividend. Why? Because my cost of capital is higher than the rate at which I'm going to reinvest my retained earnings. So it's always better to pay the dividend in that case. So let's move to the solution now. So as per Gordon model, P0 will be equal to Y into 1 minus G divided by K minus BR. We just understood the concept relating to the same. In this case, Y will be rupees 6, that is the total amount of earnings per share. D is the retention ratio, that is 80%. So if I'll have to like say about it, I'll get to know that dividend will be 1.2 in this case. 6 into 1 minus 0.8 will be equal to 1.2. R is 10%, that is 0.10. G will be equal to B into R. B is the retention ratio, that is 0.8 into 0.1. That is my return on internal retention, that will be 0.1. So I get G equal to 0.08. K will be equal to 11%, that is 0.11. So by substituting all these, we get that P0 will be equal to D1 divided by K minus E, that is dividend discount model. I just told you that both these models are on the same lines. That will be 1.20 divided by 0.11 minus 0.08. That will be equal to rupees 40 in this case. So the price per share as per the Gordon constant growth discounted model will be equal to rupees 40. And this is the intrinsic value as per the Gordon model. And if in case current stock price in the market is less than 40, then I can simply see that the stock of RAM Limited is undervalued. Go and get that. Perfect. Go and purchase it. So because it's undervalued in the market, so you can get the best benefit out of it. So guys, that was the entire concept relating to Gordon growth model. I hope you guys got the entire clarity as to the same. Before conclusion, I must say that I have incorporated one segment for you guys, and that will be declaration record, ex-dividend and payment date. So this is relating to dividend in terms of what will be the declaration date, what will be the record date, what is going to be the ex-dividend date, and what is going to be the payment date, while moving and revolving around the concept relating to dividend. So let's understand that first. Declaration date it's basically a date on which the board of directors declare the dividend. So that's one date on which the board of directors actually declare the dividend, make declaration. Next comes in record date. So guys, this is the date on which company closes its stock transfer books and makes up a list of shareholders for the payment of dividends. This is the time when the company actually closes its stock transfer books. Now after this, whatever the kind of stock transfer is being made, the same will not be recorded while taking into payment of dividend into consideration. So this is the date after which the company is not going to entertain any of the stock transfer as far as the payment of dividend is concerned. Though they can do if they wish to, but they are not going to get included in the list of the shareholders to whom the company is going to pay the dividend. So date on which the company closes its stock transfer books and makes up a list of investors, or I should say the shareholders, for the payment of dividends, then that is going to be the record date. It comes in as ex-dividend date. So guys, this is the date which is being notified by the stock exchange as a date which will entail a buyer of the shares the dividend if bought before the ex-dividend date. Obviously, that will be on the same lines for record date. Record date will be the things in which the company closes its stock transfer books, whereas ex-dividend date is basically a date notified by stock exchange that okay, investors or the name of the shareholders which is being presented before this date are going to get the dividend. And if in case company has invited many of the shareholders after this date, certainly those shareholders are not going to get any dividend from the company. So this is the date which is notified by the stock exchange as a date which will entail the buyer of the shares the dividend if bought before the exchange date, dividend date. Next will come in as the payment date. So date on which the company actually mails the checks to the recorded holders. So guys, that was a very easy kind of stuff, but I wanted to incorporate this in my presentation because you must be aware of this thing as to what are the relevant dates with respect to dividend payment being involved. So guys, with this, I'll be concluding my video with a dose of motivation, and that will be the most important single ingredient in the formula of success is knowing how to get along with people. Theodore Roosevelt, one of the finest president America has ever witnessed, mentioned this quote. So that's a wonderful thing. You must be aware of the idea how to get along very well with people. So this one feature, this one ingredient in you is going to take you to places, man. I believe that. Literally, this is one of the most important single ingredient. There has been time when I have actually noticed that people are moving from ladder to ladder, and they are actually moving forward in their respective lives, not because of the technical knowledge or not because of the professional knowledge they have, merely because of the kind of soft skills, the kind of communication skills they have, the kind of people handling abilities people usually have. So these are the features which actually a very good man have in himself or herself, wherein they can simply go about and getting success on these fronts. In your respective life, it is almost 75% these things are going to matter. Your communication skills, your interpersonal skills, the kind of bond you develop with people, the kind of relationship you enjoy with people. These are the most important aspects in order to make sure that you grow in your life. So the most important single ingredient in the formula of success is knowing how to get along with people. So make sure that while you study or prepare yourself for your CA final examination, you don't lag behind on the perspective of your very good communication skills or very good soft spoken skills, technical skills along with that. So you'll have to go taking both the things hand in hand. That's the only way you can think about succeeding at your level best. Theodore Roosevelt, one of the finest presidents America has ever witnessed, mentioned this quote. Okay, guys, with this, I'll be saying a thank you on behalf of the Edupedia world. Keep interacting via questions, queries in the YouTube comment boxes. We love to hear from you and love to solve any of your grievances. Stay connected. That will help us in understanding your needs way better. Love you guys. Take care. Bye. See you in the next presentation.